Next up, we have Stress Hard Week 7 Perfect Combo from the Friday Night Funkin soundtrack. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a Layman-Friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician and composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what is happening here, musically. So, if you like the sound of that, make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you use, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, everybody, don't forget to join the Discord server, the gaming channel, how to request songs if you're not on the live stream, members getting early access to the content. I have a spiel for this and a bunch of other things at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Disclaimers showing on your screen right now, so go ahead and pause the video to read them in full. Otherwise, please be patient with me. I am acoustic and guitared, so please keep that in mind. With that, let's go ahead and do this. Stress and Ayaku, very close. It was the first movement. It was the first movement. I see that you went and looked into it. Good. Let's do this then. Stress. I think Perfect Combo is just the gameplay, so Stress. Week 7, let's go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so first things first, the gameplay of this game, my understanding is that this game is, it's got the Dance Dance Revolution format, with the idea being that these are rap battles. So that is something that has to be taken into consideration for the sake of gameplay, that these pieces are composed for that purpose. Now, we start with 3 main parts going on. One, we have drums, very, very subtle drums that are being doubled by the bass. Bass, doubling is when you have more than one instrument doing the same thing at the same time. And then, of course, we have our melody that is being played, our initial rap, which contains our initial motif, I believe. Motif being the smallest version of your musical idea, the essence from which everything else comes from. Rexonix, welcome today. How you doing? Let's see where this goes. And yes, we're 41 minutes into this stream because first there's like the pre-stream, we do a bunch of other stuff, and yeah, I yap a lot. Okay, let me go back a few seconds. Let's hear this. Okay, so we have the first one, we have the second one, and something that is commonly observed in FNF music is the use of the technique of call and response. Call and response is a musical conversation, which right now is pretty simple. It's a musical conversation. Rap battle, it depends. It relies on the idea of the conversation, right? That's what the rap battle is the back and forth. We have left over here giving us the call, right over there giving us the response. Usually, what I've noticed in a lot of these is that we also use canonic imitation. First, train those, I think, for the follow. Welcome to the mosh pit. Welcome today. So, are you much into Newgrass community? Nope. I have no idea. I will want to sit one day with Solkrig and have him walk me through it. Alright, so the type of call and response we just had is called canonic imitation. Canonic imitation, of course, comes from the concept of the canon. Canon with one N, by the way. Canon with 2 N's, that's for Tchaikovsky, I think is the one of his overtures. The canon is a type of piece or a type of composition that loops upon itself, that repeats upon itself in whatever ways that the different canons can do in order to make layers of music. Of course, the most famous canon at the unison that exists is row, row, row your boat. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. You have that. If you have 4 people sing it, you can have the first person, everybody's gonna loop the song, but they're all gonna start from different points, right? So first person starts, when the first person starts gently down the stream, the second person starts from the top. When the second person starts gently down the stream, the third person starts from the top. When the third person starts gently down the stream, the fourth person starts from the top, and you get this 4-part beautiful canon at the unison. 4-part canon at the unison. Now, the concept of canonic imitation, it simplifies the idea because it's based on repetition, where the call and the response are the exact same or similar enough where they're basically the same idea. So we have that in the call and the response. Then immediately after, we go into our first variation from left over here. I'm going to call them left and right, right? Because we could always call it also like black and red maybe. I like left and right. So left over here starts a new version of the motif, which is engaging in a little bit of elongation. Elongation being another technique that you can use to extend and develop your material, in which you slow down. You play a slowed down version of a previous thing. Do you want the characters' names? No, I prefer left and right. It keeps it simpler for me. Bowfriend and Tankman? Left and right. I prefer it that way then. I prefer it that way. I mean, we could say we could use the Hungarian Ball and Job. You know, Ball is left, Job is right. And yes, that is unironically. In Hungarian, Ball is left and Job is right. So we have Ball, we have Job, and I'm gonna call them left and right because I'm gonna forget. So left over here giving us a elongated version of the melody. Elongation, as I said, when you play a slower variation of the same melody. So let's say you have this melody going over here. Let's say. Let's say you have something like that, but if you do an elongation, then the left hand is going to stay the same, but the right hand so you very much slow down parts. Of course, I did a more exaggerated version to make it easier, more evident, but yeah. There's not a Ball person, or rather your person. How curious how those interests. Look, if you want more lessons of Hungarian, just ask Dunkel. And Hide and Slide, welcome today. How you doing? All right, let's see where this goes. Let me go back a couple of seconds to the start of this melody, and let's see. Right, I went for it. So a little variation there. Now we bring variation again. Canonic imitation once again. Now we're starting to speed things up. We're doing now the opposite of elongation, which is reduction. We're also doing partial versions of the motifs being done over here. And something to keep in mind when it comes to music battles, in terms of these kinds of musical fights, something that would often be done is that the challenger, that there would be a challenger and a challenged person, right? And the challenged person would establish a melody that the challenger would then have to imitate. That is usually how many of these duels happen. There is a film that does this, actually, from the 80s, 70s or 80s. It's called Crossroads, which has Steve Vai in the in one of the roles. Then it has, I think his name is called Ralph Macchio. I don't know how to spell his last name. The First Karate Kid. It's a movie about a guy who is a classical guitarist who wants to play blues and gets into a lot of trouble, ends up running into the devil kind of thing, and has to recover, has to fight for his soul and the soul of his mentor by facing the devil kind of thing. It's a fun film with a cool guitar battle. So in what ways can elongation and reduction be used together? You can do it where you do partials. You take the whole melody. Let's say the original melody is something simple like this, right? Let's say, and what you can do is, let's say you elongate the first two notes, and now you have this, and then the other three notes are a lot faster, they are reduced. So you go from this to this. So it's still the same notes, it's still technically the same melody, but now they are, you having engaged in both elongation and reduction. So elongation and reduction is basically you're just changing the duration of the individual notes. There is like complete melody elongation, which is you just do it for the whole melody. There's partial, which you just pick which ones you want. So yeah, let's see where this goes. And another thing we just ran into here is the canonic imitation being used as an actual canon. Because we had the overlap of the parts being repeated, we had a temporary canon over there at the unison. Everyone goes, welcome today, how you doing? Let's see where this goes. New variation. So right now, what we're doing for repetition 1, this is a reduced version, so these are a little bit faster than before, and we're adding a couple of repeated notes. We're adding some notes in between as well. In counterpoint, we just call them non-chord tones. But the uses for them can be very useful, because as I said, we had repeated notes, which, you know, it's just repeat the note. You have something called the passing tone. Passing tone is that you have 2 notes. These are used in the context of chord tones versus non-chord tones. I brought up the subject, I might as well, right? So that was my computer. So chord tones, tones and non-chord tones. These are 2 types of tones that you have whenever you're making melodies. Chord tones are going to be the tones or notes that belong to whichever chord you are currently playing. Non-chord tones is going to be all of the other ones. So if we bring the scale of C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, those are the 7 notes of C major, and we bring C major is going to be C, E, and G, then that means your non-chord tones are going to be D, F, A, and B in this case. So that's just how we do this. Mildscore, thank you for the $2, appreciate it. So here's the way that you use them, right? Because if you are playing a C major chord, I definitely need to redo these. I need to redo these sounds to make them a little bit faster. So, can these exist when you play a melody without chords, with no harmony? Then technically yes, because then your melody creates the harmony. So yes, we're having let's say we're playing C major, and your chord tones. And then whichever notes you're using in between are going to be your non-chord tones. So there are many ways that you can use these non-chord tones without just making them sound as disruptive. One of which is when you have a passing tone. When you have, let's say, we have C major, we have C and E, and you want to put something in between, you put a passing tone. Very simple. There's the idea of the neighboring tone. Neighboring tone, where you have a pattern of 3, where the first and last note are the same note. You have the upper neighboring tone. You have the lower neighboring tone. Then you can have like double neighboring tones, where you do both. Or the other way around. And then there's a bunch of other ones. Right now, we are primarily using repeated notes, passing tones, and neighboring tones to add more spice, more variation of this thing. We do have a podcast to get what? What? What do you mean? I mean, we have the BS Talks, which is labeled as a podcast. Yeah. I mean, I would love to do a full-on podcast, but that's another project for another time. So yeah, let's see where this goes. There must be some pieces without harmony. Yes, that is called atonal music. Atonal music. That's what pieces without harmony are. Atonal music. There's technically 3 main types. There's 12-tone music. There's aleatoric. And then there's prepared instruments. 12-tone is music communism, where it's a game where you make a row of tones and you can't repeat any of the previous notes until you cover all of the other tones in the chromatic scale. Aleatoric, it's planned randomness. And prepared instruments, that's going to be on the John Cage side. At your own peril, listen to these if you want an example. 12-tone music, there's String Quartet number 4 by Schoenberg. by Schoenberg. Aleatoric music, there's the Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima by Penderecki. And prepared instruments, there's of course Water Walk by John Cage. These three are three different. There are three of the types of atonal music that you can have, the three main types. Listen to them at your own peril. So, yes. Let's see. You must reply with another donation. Nice try, Soul Creek. The only key that never pay attention is whether charting all correspond to the pitch of the notes being played instead of just the timing. There's two types of non-chord tones. There's the non-chord tones, and then there is accented non-chord tones. A non-chord tone, a regular known chord tone, is supposed to be played outside of when you hit the chord. An accented non-chord tone is when the note lands when you hit the chord. That's it. And 433, yeah, but that one's not so much prepared instrument. That falls more on aleatoric. 433 falls more under the aleatoric. Should make a diss track of Waterwalk names Fire Sit. No. All right, so yeah, with that, let's see where this goes. And in the accompaniment, of course, we have the drums and the bass doing their thing, keeping a more hip-hop thing to this. There are some extra sounds here and there, mainly acting as texture. Like, you know, the disc scratching sounds or disc scratching like sounds, static. We have some chords being played here and there. But the main focus is, of course, the melodies that are being played. Basterd's podcast. I mean, we have the BS talks, but I'm pretty sure we could figure out something. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes first. And now we're engaging, of course, in some more counterpoint. Of course, with the canon before, that is some counterpoint, but counterpoint being the study of melodies, how they are, how they develop, how they interact with one another. It comes from the term contrapuntus. I think it's contrapunctus or contrapuntus, which means point against point, where you have multiple independent melodies, usually two, playing against one another. Right now, we are having all of these things play out. Let me hear a bit more.
Pretty good.
New version. Vocal there. New version. We're transitioning now. Building up. The bass is a little bit more pronounced. New beat. So yeah, we are now speeding up things. We're playing it in a higher range, at a higher end of the range. And of course, it's a little bit more intense, a little bit more dramatic because of that. But we are still employing the same techniques that we were before. This is very, very good for this kind of thing, is shooting on the beat. Usually these kinds of things have a lot of detail, surprising amount of detail. Like, I know that the art style is fairly straightforward, but usually in these types of things, you will see a surprising amount of detail being put here. For example, right now, the melodies, in order for the gameplay to get more and more complicated, the melodies are getting more and more and more complex. However, we are still keeping the central essence of it. We are basically just adding more and more in between, reducing things, and changing rhythms and whatnot. Let's see where this goes. A lot of neighboring tones on this one. Canonic imitation. Oh, I really liked that version. So now we are engaging in a partial ostinato. Ostinato over here is when we are taking a small portion of the motif and we are putting it in an ostinato. Ostinato being when you repeat something over and over and over again, the same exact way. And in this case, it also engaged in a little bit of rhythmic displacement. Rhythmic displacement, it usually is when you, the name suggests, when you displace something in the rhythm. Often it is to push something back so that it sounds later, or often it is when you do pull something up so that it sounds, so that it's upwards. One of the types of rhythmic displacement is a polyrhythm. Polyrhythm, as the name says, is when you have multiple rhythms playing at the same time, and the contrast between these rhythms is what makes it sound cool. The easiest, simplest polyrhythm that exists is the 3 versus 2, where you have one part doing 2s, 1, 2, 1, 2, and the other one doing 3s, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and when they do it together, you get this really, really cool contrast. Now, of course, there's a bunch of other polyrhythms that you can do, and one of these, I don't know the official term for this, but I am going to call it an overflow polyrhythm. What happens with the overflow? The notes that you play, they're supposed to play over a certain amount of time. Your rhythm is supposed to play over a certain amount of time. And what we're doing with this ostinato is that the ostinato takes just a little bit longer. So each repetition overflows into the next one. So let me give you a quick graph for it. So let's say we have a 4/4 measure over here. That's 4 beats per measure, and we have we have the beats over here. And let's say that your initial melody, we do 4 bars, right? Let's say your initial melody has the notes playing pretty much on the beat. You have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. You have the first one playing, the second one doesn't play, the next one's play. And what you can do to do this overflow kind of thing is that there's many ways. You can create it so that you are starting to have, let me actually visualize these a little bit different. Let's say we have 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it loops over to 1. So you can see how if we displace things, the first note of the phrase, you displace it a little bit and you start replaying it. The rest of the music is still following the original beat, but this one is a little too short. So you overflow into the next one, and it's that slowly desynchronization that eventually lines back up kind of thing that has this. And of course, there's the other way around where you overflow it, where you put too many notes, where you have 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1, 2, 3, then back to 1, 2, 3. And then the next one ends up at 1, right? Like, you can have many different variations of this kind of thing. Right now, we just had one with that. It just sounded really cool. Let's see where this goes. Ooh, and with this, we now engage in a little bit of harmonization. So harmonization with the canonic imitation. We have some harmonization. Harmonization, of course, being a counterpoint parallel motion, usually in thirds or sixths. So let me go through these, right? So harmonization is the unofficial, the informal term for this. The full academic term would be counterpoint parallel motion. Counterpoint, study of melodies, as I said, usually measured in motion. One of the types of motion that exists is parallel motion, where you have 2 melodies doing the same thing at the same time, just from different starting points. You can have parallel octaves. You can have something like, you can have sevenths. They don't sound as nice, but you can have fifths. And then you have thirds and sixths, which usually, if you do them, they are what we call harmonization. That's thirds, and here's sixths. Like, it adds this nice level of just beauty to this, and now we're having the canonic imitation doing this kind of thing. Let's just see where this goes. It's so good. Let's see how this ends. Because we're reaching the end. Counterpoint there. Canonic imitation. How are you going to end this? And we end, so we do a little bit of more back and forth, call and response, canonic imitation, and we end it with what turned out to be the sound of the guns doing that ostinato overflow one more time, and the piece ends with that. That was fun. That was fun, and there you have it. That was Stress, from the Friday Night Funkin' soundtrack from the Flippy YouTube channel. That was really fun. That was really, really cool. I really love these because form-wise, these ones don't follow the same kind of rules because you have the whole concept of the game in here. So the music is made to be played along with the video game, because by itself, it has certain flaws that you wouldn't really be able to do and get away with if the music was by itself. But once you put it in video game form, there's and I think this is the first time we actually do FNF soundtrack, like the original soundtrack, like base game. Yeah, I think it's the first time. There you go, good stuff. We make history. We make history. So there you have it. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician, a composer, and my objective here has been to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what's happened here musically. So, if you're watching this on the YouTube video archive thing, thank you for watching. Make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you use. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, everybody, don't forget to join the Discord server. That's where everything gets announced first, whether it is the videos going up on the channels, streams going live, updates, projects, everything gets announced first. Of course, that's where we also have the community. We hang out, we chat, we steal memes from other people's servers, claim them as our own, and of course, where I host the Vintage Story game server. It used to be a Minecraft mod, now it's its own standalone game. I prefer it, which is why I built a computer just to host it. Linked in the description. Join the Discord today and become a member of the community today. Also share these videos with your friends, with your families, with your family's friends, with your friends' families. Those are two very distinct concepts, by the way. With your online and offline communities, go share these videos with everybody that should know. Also use the hype function on YouTube. We have a group on the Discord that coordinates for that. Linked in the description. That's another reason to join the Discord. Look at that. Yes, musicians, artists, or otherwise on YouTube or elsewhere. This is an open invitation. If you want any of my musical skills and you want to collaborate, just reach out. Let me know if you want any of my musical skills, whether it's my guitars, Mongolian throat singing, you know, the good old kind of thing, regular singing, voice acting, whatever it is. Reach out, let me know. Let's work together. Let's make stuff. And if you're in the audience and you know somebody you would like me to collaborate with, reach out, let them know. Please do not harass anyone. Please do not spam anyone. Be cool about things. Don't be a rat. Members get early access to the content. I schedule the videos for the week on Saturdays, and if you're a paid member on YouTube, regardless of your tier, you get access to the videos when I schedule them, at least for the LFAs. That's up to around 1 week in advance, so become a member today. If you want to listen to this without me interrupting every 3.5 seconds, I'll be linking in the description down below. If you want to request a song and you're not on the live stream, check the pinned comment on this video. If you want to catch the streams when they happen live, we aim for Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central European Time. We stream live on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick so that you can tune in from whichever platform you prefer. Again, 6 p.m. Central Europe. If you're not in Europe, do not worry. We have the full up-to-date streaming schedule showing in your local time zone in both Discord and Twitch. So if you live in Ojos Buenos, Chile, that means good eyes, and you're like, yeah, but what time is 6 p.m. in Hungary? I don't live there. Do not worry. Just go to Discord or Twitch and it's going to show in your local time zone. And follow the gaming channel. I have a gaming channel because, of course, I have a gaming channel. I'm on YouTube. What else could I possibly have? Games are a bastard. That's where I put the gaming after show recordings when they happen. Recorded live during the main channel's after show. And then the recordings go here. Linked in the description or just search on YouTube. Same username as James R. Basterd. Just swap the J for a G and you got it. And, yeah. There you have it. Stress, I guess the perfect combo means that the player actually made the perfect track. That was really cool, dude. Friday Night Funkin'. First time we actually do the bass game. Look at that. Look at that. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. But, yeah, let's move on.